hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. How is everyone doing today? I'm in trouble loading my screen today. Yeah, let's see if this fits. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, hello. Twitch dashboard. I don't know what the hell's going on with it. It does not like to load. It's very, very weird. That's the way it goes. Alright. Got my streams running. Welcome, everyone. Let me test things out. My TTS. Oh, I closed my TTS. That's why. I closed everything with TTS. Let's reinstall some software. Let's try me again. Let's activate my TTS. Find and activate. Okay. Got some streams. TTS. Vertical. YouTube.
Ken Shogo says, vertical. Ken Shogo says, YouTube.
Finally up and
Ken
running.
Shogo says, kick.
Alright, we're going to
Ken Shogo says,
get
Twitch.
started. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Let's get started. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. I think my allergies are acting up or something. I can't stop sneezing. Sorry. What is that sound? What is that clicking sound? I don't know what that sound is, but it's kind of annoying. Right? $33 is tier roots. On my Jimmy. Okay, well, just want to show you guys something. It's pretty fun. This guy's bugging out. Bugging out. Let's go to do our bounties. Sweet. My earbuds making these noises. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's like a thump, thump, thump. You can see it's periodically on. Yeah, I just heard it. Thump, 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 thump. What is that? This is nice. What's causing that noise? Here or here? Where to next? Alright. All the animals are music. Music. Alright. Let's do this. We need that noise. Ah. Tree. Take that tree. That tree. Get being that tree. How dare you occupy space around me? Away. Feathers. It's like, Notice. Yippee! Yippee! Yip! Hi. Yip! Pie. Not hi, pie. Pie. Oh my god. Yip! Pie. Yep, got it. Let's get these. Let's get some more of these. Just these. Skin. Scam. Another one? I'm not touching those. Not touching those. Isn't it crazy? Like, you could open up one of these, and you could get 10 Echo Jade just for opening these things. You do a whole event for like 20 minutes. It's just a picture. All right. This one. So I managed to eat all of my soup without choking it. Yeah, that's a progress, right? That's progress, right? What's going on? I keep hearing that. It's all horses. All right. Let's do our jungle adventures. All right, let's get this done. Let's do some digging. Hmm. Ah. Yeah. Right. Scenario. Let's do this outfit. Let's see. Stevie Wonder. Mr. How many downloads? This is great. Alright. It's done. Excellent. Shop. Definitely could get a new outfit. Join the sect. Should join the Norse. Alright. What is left to do? You don't have to do any more flowers. Yay! Got a lot of these materials. Won't do flowers for a while. Let's just double check these. Delicious fruit. We got 389. Beauty's Plume, 354. Jade Talent Pearl, 326. This 325. This 2 root. We got Cross Mycelium. Where is that? And then the Jasmine Sting, 270. Really don't need it. Okay, so we have so much. We can upgrade all of our abilities to tier 6. Everything. So we don't need to do any of this. Let's do some outposts. Let's do some outposts. Let's get the bathroom. Give me a second. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. While you're watching me do some things. Let's do this. This is the long one. Okay, I'm back. Alright, let's see. How much ore do we have? This is level 3. I don't think we're ever going to use that. It's level Mystic Skill Fragments. Dark Gold Iron Non-Lube. This is level Iron. Level 3. Sure. And I got 3,000 of level 5. We got enough. Let's level up our mystic skills. 20 per level. So let's see. So to breakthrough. 20. Continue. And It's 32. Upgrade. It's 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everyone seems to be 32. Okay. So there's 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 of them. $6,000. So how many? 1,000. So we need 6,000. And I have 3,006. So we need a hell of a lot more. Let's get all the ones I use up. So it's tier 5. There it is. Seven. It's 308. It's like 21. Let's level up another one. So, okay. $440. Oh wait, each. Eight, 14. It's 26,000. I have 440. 3,007. lot of stones. I need, what else? Orange more. Oh, shit, I need a lot. Okay. That's not so useful. That's pretty useful, right? Need the golden body. What's up there? Swordsman. Golden body. Serene grace. What's the steps? Holy. What's this? Sure. Uh-oh. Hmm. Quadruple. Right? It's like Gotcha. Another. A lot more in this.
Fixing 66 says, clip 30.
Hello, clip 30. What's that mean? Welcome to the stream. I am just burning some outposts. I want to get this Evan board to upgrade my mystic skills. Ease. Oops. Bam. Dead. Ease. Let's get another one of these. Burn a lot. Burn a lot. Burn twice as much as we burned today. If we pair up our partner. This will be the last outpost for the day. Shogo. We'll do more tomorrow. Wow. This crap is not small. Let's burn this down. Let's get all of our silk. Alright, let's do our weapons. Actually, let's develop our skills here. Let's see, anything else we need to. This one, Flaming Meteor. Alright, we got some materials to upgrade this. Where are we? Alright, let us go far. Alright, let's farm some buff drops. Farming until we don't get the weapon drops. Or material drops. Significant materials. Getting coin, which is good. Cycle some weapons. Do I need to min-max my weapons? Really? Well, it would be good to go for content. drops. That's good. I think it's I'm gonna get something to eat. A little snack. I get some dried figs and dried fiber. Sugar. Hmm. Hmm. Very interesting. Dried apricot that we're eating. Almost had a chocolatey flavor. last right pick. Hey. $2.99 for 9 ounces. Dollar 3 ounces. 16 ounces. $5. Much on sale at this speed. All right. Ah. Okay, let's see. Do a few more of these just to make sure we're done. And then we'll switch it up with our other character. Okay. All right, one last one. It's looking pretty clear that our drops have ended for today. So let us exchange places. Holy cow, 5 of them? Six of them? Six of them here too. How could that be? Oh. Okay, so these are the two hotspots. Got it. Weapon combo tier list. Still getting out these. Oh, this is the last one. Get my Brave browser up. And let's watch this video.
Hello everyone, I am Averse, the previous Rank 1 player for all of Season 1. I have played 2,895 matches at the start of Split 1 of Season 2, and I thought now is a good time to make a tier list of patch 1.3 1v1 arena weapon combinations. This tier list is my own personal opinion after playing thousands of games at the highest level for the current patch. With that being said, let's begin the video. Okay, there are some things I wanted to get out of the way before I start this tier list. Let me preface this by saying every single build in the entire game is viable to get to Mythic. It does not matter what you use. Even some of the worst builds on this tier list are probably better in like lower ranks under Mythic. The primary focus of this tier list is for climbing Mythic. It's for the players that want to play against the best players in Werevin's Me and which builds are the strongest and which builds might give you more of an advantage because they are better than others, right? The other thing I want to mention, I will only be covering builds that I see often on the ladder, either through my gameplay or through watching others' gameplay on Twitch or YouTube. Last tier list I did, I covered pretty much any suggestion someone in chat had, and I think that was a little bit of a bad way to do it because it was too many builds and I couldn't really give details on every single build because it was so unique and I never played against them. I'm only covering builds that I played against often, so I'll be able to give more feedback on it, and it should be better this way. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way before we start. Okay, the first build we are going to talk about is on DPS Fan and DPS Umbrella. DPS Fan and DPS Umbrella is a A tier build. In my opinion, it is high A tier. This build was extremely strong when we only had 1 life, but now that we have talents to give us a second life, it's not as strong because you can't just cheese one-shot someone. But if someone knows the combo with Umbrella Fan and they have the level 6 of Blossom Barrage, I believe that's the name, where they can constantly use those Umbrella stuns in the long combo. If you have that, this build is insanely strong. Borderline S tier. The problem with this build, and what most players will come to realize when playing this build, is when you play it against higher tier players, the best of the best, this build is harder to pull off. It's kind of like a noob stomper build in a way. It's a lot better for players that don't know how to play against it and don't have experience against it, and it falls off harder versus players that are extremely good. That being said, it doesn't mean that this build is bad versus extremely good players. It's just harder to pull off. You're going to have to put in way more effort. The second build we are going to talk about is Healing Fan, Healing Umbrella. Right away, I can confirm to you that this build is honestly probably the worst build in the entire game. And any build that utilizes a healing weapon, whether it be the fan or the umbrella, automatically makes the build very bad. Healing weapons in 1v1 PvP are awful. They have 90% healing reduction, so you're only getting 10% of your actual healing. The the rope dart, when you charge the rope dart, actually heals way more than the actual healing weapons. The healing weapons are just really not good in 1v1 PvP. They're not meant for 1v1 PvP. So any build for 1v1, it is better in 3v3. It actually has a role in that, and it has a role in GVG and other PvP game modes, but for 1v1, no, this build is not it. It's horrible. The third build we are going to be talking about is DPS Umbrella and Nameless Spear. This build is actually pretty bad. I was debating putting it in C tier, but I think I'm going to exclusively leave that tier for healing weapons. The main thing about this build is pretty much the only way they're dealing damage to you is Nameless Spear Q into Umbrella Q into Nameless Spear R. And if they have like more Umbrella Qs, they can do Nameless Spear Q into Umbrella Q into Soaring Spin into Umbrella Q into Nameless Spear R. They can do stuff like that. That's pretty much their only way of dealing damage, is they have to stun you with the Nameless Spear and then into the Umbrella Stun, or the Umbrella Stun and then into the Nameless Spear, or into the... They basically have to land a stun. The Umbrella Stun, like raw landing it, is borderline impossible if your opponent knows how to dodge it. The Nameless Spear raw stun, if your opponent's good at reacting to Nameless Spear, is pretty hard to land, especially if this is pretty much the only way you're going to be catching people, so they know what to expect. And for that reason, the build is, not good. It has very limited options to catch people, and the options it has are easy to predict, and the opponent knows exactly what you're going to try to do. So yeah, for that reason, it is not that good of a build. The fourth build we are going to be talking about is Heavenquaker Spear, Nameless Spear. Heavenquaker Spear, Nameless Spear holds a special place in my heart because it is the most annoying build you fight on the current patch. I would actually, if I had to do a tier list based on the most annoying builds to fight, this one would be up there. Not only is it a double spear build, you have to memorize what weapon it looks like. So when people run two of the same weapon, the weapon appearances look different. So you have to remember what appearance is the Nameless Spear and when they pull it out. So you know if they're going to Q you or Heavenquaker Q you. They have the safety of always having Nameless Spear Q available. They have the safety of always using Heavenquaker Spear with Wolf Chaser R for tenacity. It's just such a safe build, and the amount of pressure this build can output on you is honestly disgusting. It's basically, if you're ever close range to them, you're always threatened by either Heavenquaker Q or Nameless Q, which is Heavenquaker Q is a fast ability. It comes out extremely fast and it has tenacity. Your options of playing around it are limited. In Nameless Spear Q, you have to reaction dodge it. So at any given moment, you have to react to those two spears, and they're just constantly pressuring you. A really good player playing this build is extremely annoying to play against. They're just going to coin flip Yakshas into you after tenacity, and they're going to keep up the aggression on you and constantly make you guess which spear they have out. And for that reason, it is a very strong build. It's A tier. I wouldn't put it above DPS Fan, DPS Umbrella, but I'll leave it here for now. The fifth build we'll actually be covering 3 builds at once because all of these weapon combinations are so similar, I might as well talk about them all at once. And that is Nameless Sword DPS Fan, Twin Blade DPS Fan, and Strat Sword DPS Fan. These builds are all builds that have better alternative options in A tier and S tier. A good example of this is DPS Fan, DPS Umbrella is straight up a better alternative to these 3 builds, in my opinion. what having a DPS fan allows you to do on your build is it allows you to cancel Talon Strike and Yaksha Rush end animation. You can just cancel at any point in the animation with the backflip wall or the teleport, which no weapon in the game has access to other than the DPS fan. So that alone kind of changes the fundamental gameplay of your build. But having a fan as your secondary weapon, it doesn't allow you to tab swap into it to extend your combos. So when you're doing Strasser combos and you want to tab swap out because you have no cooldowns, you can't true combo out of that with the fan, and it's just really awkward. What having the fan does is it allows you to catch in different ways with the cancellation of Talon Strike and Yaksha, and you can constantly fish for that and get out of it without being punished. Or you can look for the fan knockup, and then when they're falling down, you can chain it with a combo. I've seen players do that. Those are very interesting and cool ways you can catch people in this build, but that's really all it has going for it. The downsides are far more prominent than the upsides of this build. And most, if not pretty much every single build in A and S will just be straight up stronger than this build, and that's why I'm going to be putting it in B. I don't see why you would ever play one of these three builds over DPS fan, DPS umbrella. It's just straight up a better alternative, better combos, higher damage, safer. And yeah, for that reason, I'll be putting those three at the top of B tier. The sixth build we will be talking about is Nameless Sword and Nameless Spear. I call this the Frank build on stream. Most players that play this build, they run away most of the game and they'll play off the Nameless Sword Q cooldown and the Nameless Spear Q cooldown, and they'll just play for catches. If I wanted to tier that playstyle, it would actually not be S tier. The players that actually know how to play this build and can utilize the aggression of the Nameless Sword and Nameless Spear and the catch potential while also being good at reactionary gameplay makes this a very oppressive build. It is worse than a few of the other builds in the game, but we haven't gotten to those yet. But I still believe this is an S tier build. It utilizes Nameless Sword Q catches and Nameless Spear Q catches to always keep their opponent on their toes. It has amazing combo extensions, and you can do very, very high damage combos. Not as much as other builds, but still extremely useful for the amount of utility it provides. You can play like the Frank playstyle and run away all game and play off Q catches. You always have that option available. Or you can play in your opponent's face and play pure reactionary gameplay with both Nameless. Very strong build, and for that reason, it'll be an S tier. The next build I'm going to talk about is Nameless Sword Strat Sword. This build is very, very strong. I used to play this build back in the start of Season 1. This was one of the first few builds I ever played to climb ladder. It's still pretty much the same build from back then. The only difference is Nameless Sword got buffed a little bit, so you can Q catch differently and it's less ping reliant. And for that reason, and with the players learning more about how to combo, plus our new soaring spin, the build is actually really strong. The main downside with this build is there's really no safety net, there's no gimmick mechanic. It's just pure reaction gameplay. This build, if you want to be a demon at this build, you have to be insanely good at your reactionary gameplay, like holding Strat R and pressuring people constantly with Strat R and parrying out of it constantly and swapping to the Nameless Sword mid combo so people don't recognize which sword you're on and Q catching. You have the advantage of having two of the same weapon type, so you have two swords, so you can use that to make your opponents guess which sword you have out at any given time, and you can discreetly use your Nameless Sword Q and catch people off guard, and you have the element of surprise sometimes with that. But this build just has no gimmick or no safety net or nothing like that screams that it's OP. It's just pure reaction gameplay with tons of options and tons of weapon combinations. The weapon combinations you can do, the combos you can do on this build are endless. You can do tons and tons of different combos. And it's just like a reaction combo build. It's extremely good, but I wouldn't put it in S tier. The eighth build we will be talking about is Nameless Sword and Twin Blade. I was really debating on putting this build at high A tier or low S tier, but I think I will set build our end action prize since get sword you're on it during play. Actually, Season 1, it's in Neme's face and play pure reaction build. Not as much Nameless Spear. Two of the other builds catch potential to tier that build. The sixth build we will be talking about is Nameless Sword and Nameless Spear. I call this the Frank build on stream. Most players that play this build, they run away most of the game and they'll play off the Nameless Sword Q cooldown and the Nameless Spear Q cooldown, and they'll just play for catches. If I wanted to tier that playstyle, it would actually not be S tier. The players that actually know how to play this build and can utilize the aggression of the Nameless Sword and Nameless Spear and the catch potential while also being good at reactionary gameplay makes this a very oppressive build. It is worse than a few of the other builds in the game, but we haven't gotten to those yet. But I still believe this is an S tier build. It utilizes Nameless Sword Q catches and Nameless Spear Q catches to always keep their opponent on their toes. It has amazing combo extensions, and you can do very, very high damage combos. Not as much as other builds, but still extremely useful for the amount of utility it provides. And this build is just honestly really safe. A really safe build. You can play like the Frank playstyle and run away all game and play off Q catches. You always have that option available. Or you can play in your opponent's face and play pure reactionary gameplay with both Nameless. Very strong build, and for that reason, it'll be an S tier. The next build I'm going to talk about is Nameless Sword Strat Sword. This build is very, very strong. I used to play this build back in the start of Season 1. This was one of the first few builds I ever played to climb ladder. It's still pretty much the same build from back then. The only difference is Nameless Sword got buffed a little bit, so you can Q catch differently and it's less ping reliant. And for that reason, and with the players learning more about how to combo, plus our new soaring spin, the build is actually really strong. The main downside with this build is there's really no safety net, there's no gimmick mechanic. It's just pure reaction gameplay. This build, if you want to be a demon at this build, you have to be insanely good at your reactionary gameplay, like holding Strat R and pressuring people constantly with Strat R and parrying out of it constantly and swapping to the Nameless Sword mid combo so people don't recognize which sword you're on and Q catching. You have the advantage of having two of the same weapon type, so you have two swords, so you can use that to make your opponents guess which sword you have out at any given time, and you can discreetly use your Nameless Sword Q and catch people off guard, and you have the element of surprise sometimes with that. But this build just has no gimmick or no safety net or nothing like that screams that it's OP. It's just pure reaction gameplay with tons of options and tons of weapon combinations. The weapon combinations you can do, the combos you can do on this build are endless. You can do tons and tons of different combos. And it's just like a reaction combo build. It's extremely good, but I wouldn't put it in S tier. The eighth build we will be talking about is Nameless Sword and Twin Blade. I was really debating on putting this build at high A tier or low S tier, but I think I will settle on low S tier. The reason being, I tried this build out, and although I thought this build was worse than the build I usually played, this build just is so oppressive if you get the first execute off. And what I mean by that is, if you're combo your opponent, you get their Serene, and then you combo them again, execute them, and then you have Twin Blade R up, the chances of you recatching them right after that are very high, and the game might just end right then and there. And for that reason, this build is just really strong. The downside of this build, which I quickly realized when I played it, is this build is just pure reaction gameplay. Kind of similar to Nameless Sword Strat Sword. It's just pure reaction gameplay. The reason I put this build higher than Nameless Sword Strat Sword is it has a gimmick. It has the Twin Blade R. After you combo someone on Nameless Sword Strat Sword, you don't have like a button to press which guarantees you're going to have another recatch. Almost I guarantee that you're going to have another recatch instantly. But on Twin Blade Nameless Sword, you do. You utilize the Nameless Sword to extend your combos and to catch people, and you utilize the Twin Blade to extend your combos and to use Rage Mode to recatch. And that whole flow of the build and getting that first execute is really strong and impressive, and for that reason, it'll be S tier. The ninth build we are going to be talking about is Strat Sword and Twin Blade. Strat Sword and Twin Blade is a worse version of Nameless Sword and Twin Blade, and I'll tell you why. I tried out both of these builds, and what I quickly realized is usually you want to have one weapon in art. And kind of the flow of the good builds in this game, you have like a main weapon that does all the damage and is the majority of your combo. And then you have a secondary weapon which complements the main weapon, either being patches or extending the combo or giving it something, like benefiting it, making it stronger. Problem with Strat Sword Twin Blade that I encountered is in Strat Sword Twin Blade, you either want to use Sword Horizon to boost the Strat Sword, which is the Strat Sword Interray, or you want to use Echoes of Oblivion to boost the Twin Blade and use the Twin Blade Interray. Problem is you can't take both. I mean, you could, but if you take both, it's just not going to be as good as the other builds because there's so many interways you want besides taking 2 weapon interways. So for that reason, just the Nameless Sword Twin Blade is so much better because the Nameless Sword is, you don't need the interway to make the Nameless Sword good. It catches and it combo extends without the interway perfectly fine. In the Strat Sword's case, if you don't take the Strat Sword interway, you can't do charge R recatches, you can't do special skill ×2 recatches, you can't do the Q combo extension, which doesn't really matter. It's more so about the charge R combo extension catches. You can't do that. And if you choose to take the Strat Sword interway and you choose to not take the Echoes of Oblivion interway for the Twin Blade, well then your Twin Blade just feels like it does no damage. So it's still an extremely good build, don't get me wrong, but it's just not as good as the Nameless Sword Twin Blade build, and for that reason I'll keep it at high A tier. The 10th build we'll be talking about is Strat Sword and Heaven Quaker Spear, or the Double 9 build it's called in China. I would put this build at nearly the top of A tier. It is a extremely high combo damage build. This build is rivaled for some of the highest 10-second combo damage in the entire game, next to DPS Fan and DPS Umbrella. It has extremely high catch potential with strategic R catches, and you take the Sword Horizon Interway, and you have a quicker Q instant catch. It can catch people very easily, and it does extremely high combo damage. The reason why this build is not favored by me over my current build, which is Strat Sword and Nameless Spear, is the fact that Nameless Spear just gives you more endurance than this build, which allows you to play off the Strat Sword R catches better. But what this build utilizes better is it has more tenacity through the inner art for Heaven Quaker Spear for giving it tenacity on Q. Then you have tenacity on R. So most players that play this build, they'll be utilizing the Heaven Quaker Spear more than the Strat Sword for those tenacity catches. But you can also use the Strat Sword for gap closing and combos, and it's just overall a really strong build. The highlights of this build are definitely the combo damage and catch potential. The downsides are the limited endurance that you have to work with, and you're mostly going to be playing in your tenacity catches. The 11th build we'll be talking about is Strat Sword Nameless Spear. This is the build that I personally play, and in my opinion, it's the strongest build that we currently have on our current patch. I tried out 5 different builds on this patch, and just to get a different opinion and to see like if my build was really that strong. And I can wholeheartedly say that it probably is the strongest build on current patch. The reason being is Strat Sword is kind of like your main weapon for your damage, for your combos, your combo extensions, and Nameless Spear is just the perfect complement. Most people don't know this, but Nameless Spear, just by equipping it, this is your max endurance by up to 30% based on your affinity. And when you press Nameless Spear Q, you gain endurance back. I don't know the exact amount you gain back, but it's a pretty sizable amount. And that just complements so nicely into Strat Sword R spamming for catches and using it to just, like the way I play this build, the primary gameplay is just using most of your endurance on dodging and Strat Sword Rs to catch people. And the Nameless Spear is just that always like, you have it in your back pocket to catch people out of parry or block or tenacity spamming. It's just so good, it's so safe, and you have the Nameless Spear Q attunement for getting the free get out of jail card, which is applicable to any build that uses the Nameless Spear. I'm just now talking about it. But yeah, it's a safe build, it's a strong build, it has extremely high catch potential, it's just overall so strong, and it doesn't really have any like unfavorable matchups or matchups where I think that my weapon combo is like kind of bad versus it. It's just overall so solid, and it's solid defensively and offensively, and for that reason I will solidify it as the strongest build in the entire game this match, in my opinion. The 12th build we'll be talking about is the Thundercry Blade and the Yes Fan. This build came to my attention by a player known as SFNF. He kind of paved the way for this build, and he's literally the only reason why this build is on here. This build looks pretty good in his hands, but in my opinion, overall, the build is not that good. The reason he makes it work is because he's utilizing the fan interactions with the Archer Rush and Talon Strike, and he's found his own 10-second string combos with this build. But even after seeing his gameplay and seeing others try to utilize this build, I would not say this build is anywhere near as strong as mentioned by a play match. It's just overall so strong, and it doesn't really have any like unfavorable matchups or matchups where I think that my weapon combo is like kind of bad versus it. It's just overall so solid, and it's solid defensively and offensively, and for that reason I will solidify it as the strongest build in the entire game this match, in my opinion. The 12th build we'll be talking about is the Thundercry Blade and the Yes Fan. This build came to my attention by a player known as SFNF. He kind of paved the way for this build, and he's literally the only reason why this build is on here. This build looks pretty good in his hands, but in my opinion, overall, the build is not that good. The reason he makes it work is because he's utilizing the fan interactions with the Archer Rush and Talon Strike, and he's found his own 10-second string combos with this build. But even after seeing his gameplay and seeing others try to utilize this build, I would not say this build is anywhere near as strong as any build in A tier, S tier. He's kind of just playing it for his own style. It's what he likes, and to be honest, you can Chad, he's making it work, and it's not that bad of a build, to be honest with you. And yeah, I'll probably put it at low E tier. The 13th build we will be talking about is the premier tank build, the Thundercry Blade and the Storm Spear. I'll be brutally honest, this build is just average. The majority of damage that comes from this build is through the Divine Counter with the Interway Exquisite Scenery. I believe it's tier 3 for the Thundercry Blade. That makes its Divine Counter a 3-part Divine Counter with an upswing, a downswing, and then a jump downswing. The third hit is parryable. The first 2 hits are not. They are treated as a pure Divine Counter. And yeah, if you get hit by that, you just get nuked. Your G-bar gets nuked, your health gets nuked. It's probably the strongest single hit of damage source in the entire game, I think. If you get hit by that, you get nuked. If you don't get hit by that, you don't get nuked, and you can reaction dodge it. So you can see the better the player is, the more they reaction dodge it, the less they get hit by it. Most players will never get hit by it, maybe like once a match if they're extremely good. And that just makes the build not that good. That's their main source of damage, is that Divine Counter. They are not doing much damage besides that. Maybe like a suck into Frog or a suck into Yaksha. But even then, it's just not that strong. They don't really have many ways of outputting damage. They do have a lot of DR. They have DR from their Stormbreaker Spear damage reduction, and they have shields from their Thundercry Blade. They're just like a big meat shield. But good players will just keep like battering you in like you're a punching bag, and you'll eventually die. And especially if you're versus the Nameless Spear, the matchup becomes even harder. This build gets absolutely murdered by the Nameless Spear. And yeah, overall, it's just not that good of a build. It's like average at best. I will call it the top of B tier. It's definitely a noob stomper build. The better player you face, the worse this build gets by far. But yeah, it definitely will beat a lot of new players because they'll just get smashed by the Divine Counter, which nukes people if they're not dodging it. The 14th build we'll be talking about is Twin Blade and Nameless Spear. Twin Blade and Nameless Spear, much like Strat Sword Nameless Spear or Nameless Sword Nameless Spear, is a very, very, very strong build. Problem with Twin Blade Nameless Spear is it's not double Bell Strike. It is one Bamboo Cut weapon and one Bell Strike weapon. For that reason alone, I would say it's worse than the other two builds, just because the damage is split. But overall, the build is still insanely good. Much like the same reasons as the Nameless Sword, Nameless Spear, and Strat Sword, Nameless Spear. Nameless Spear is just a perfect complement. Twin Blade is a main damage weapon, and it has that amazing Flame Lash, I believe is the ability. I just call it Twin Blade R. Where you go into red mode, Fury mode, your chances of recatching people is extremely high. And you also have the Nameless Spear Q as a secondary that people always have to think about. But yeah, for that reason, much like the other two, extremely strong build, has multiple options to catch people, has the R button as like a little gimmick, has the Nameless Spear Q button, also has extra serene from the Nameless Spear. Overall, just a really good build, high damage, can use Echoes of Oblivion, only needs one weapon and an R. Super good, much like the other two builds, easy S tier. Probably the bottom of S tier though, I believe all the other S tiers in this category are better builds. The 15th and last build we will be talking about is Twin Blade Rope Dart. If you asked me how good this build was at the beginning of the month, I would have said low A tier, because players did not know how to adjust to the nerfs of the rats being parryable. But now that players have adjusted to the rats being parryable and the new playstyle, and also acquiring Vendetta level 6, which makes the rats stronger, this build is insanely obnoxious. Not only do the rats do large amounts of damage due to Vendetta 6, but the amount of endurance this build eats from you is insane. If you choose to parry the rats, you lose endurance. If you block the rats, you lose endurance. If you dodge the rats, you lose endurance. You can see the problem here. The whole goal of this build is to eat your endurance, punish you for having no endurance, spam you with divine counters, and just constantly eat at you. It's really impressive.
Stream
really
Ailment says,
and, it's really strong.
Thank
There's only
you for
really one
following
player
Marigalice23.
showcasing how strong this build is right now, and his name is Cursor in game. He's really good with it, and a lot of the other rep players kind of haven't adjusted to this new playstyle. They probably will now that people realize how strong it is. So yeah, easily this build is probably, I would probably put it higher than Twin Blade Nameless Spear, and I would probably put it higher than Nameless or Twin Blade, but I would not put it higher than these two builds. It's extremely strong. I do not think it's the best build in the game.
Marigalice23 says, at work RN, but it'll pull up with my crew for your next stream.
So
Add me up on Discord username
KF5. Managing your endurance against this build, and it's just really annoying. But yeah, that is the final weapon combo in this tier list. And that concludes the 1v1 weapons tier list. Again, these opinions are all my own after being the top rank 3,000 games in the new season. If you guys like the video, please drop a like and subscribe. And I do live stream every single day on Twitch at twitch.tv/Averse and on YouTube. So check me out there, and I'll see you all in the next video.
That was a good video. It's fun. I don't know. Good devices. Allergies going nuts. Easy. Easy deer meat. Venison, I guess. Fight every day, grinding every day. Am I getting more powerful? I don't know. I'm gonna dig to the vendettas and bounties. Cut them back, I guess. Maybe once I stop getting the Jade Fish, maybe there'll definitely be a cutoff. Generally. Let's see, what else? What else can we watch? This has to stop. All right.
13 dynasties called it their capital. Over 1100 years as the heart of the nation. More than 70 emperors are buried here, making it one of the most densely packed imperial tomb sites in the world. This was where it all began for Qing, China's first unified empire. It was also the powerhouse of the mighty Tang Dynasty, one of the greatest in Chinese history. But then, things changed. After the Tang, Chang'an faded. The Song chose Kaifeng, the Yuan, Ming, and Qing moved north to Beijing. China's political center never returned west. So, how did Xi'an, once so powerful, disappear from history's spotlight for over 1,000 years? Welcome to Moat. In this episode, we explore how Xi'an went from the heart of an empire to a forgotten city. From the Song dynasty onward, China's center of gravity shifted slowly, then decisively to the south. And Xi'an, it drifted into the background, a relic of past glory. For a city that once rivaled ancient Rome in scale and influence, it was a dramatic fall from grace. So, what really happened? The short answer? The economy moved south, but the long answer? That's where things get interesting. The economic shift didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, centuries-long process that involved war, migration, climate change, and some major innovations. It started centuries earlier, with war, chaos, and a whole lot of people moving. Northern China got wrecked. Rebellions, invasions, and non-stop fighting made life up here rough. By 311, a massive wave of elites, scholars, and regular folks packed up and moved south. They didn't just bring luggage. They brought culture, money, and new ideas. Suddenly, the south, once seen as the empire's backyard, started booming. The Tang dynasty kept the north politically dominant, but even it couldn't reverse the trend. By the time we reach the Song dynasty, the transformation is clear. By 1080, over 60% of households lived in southern China. Cities like Hangzhou were exploding with trade, silk, ceramics, paper. Meanwhile, the old Silk Road through Xi'an, falling apart. Too dangerous, too remote. Instead, coastal trade took over. Ships from places like Quanzhou and Guangzhou were now carrying China's goods to the world. By the Southern Song, booming maritime trade was bringing in nearly 1/5 of all government revenue. By contrast, back in the Tang dynasty, trade taxes were just a drop in the bucket, less than 5%. That's right, the sea, not the desert, was the new superhighway. And Xi'an, too far inland to keep up. But wait, there's more. The land itself was changing. The fertile Guanzhong Plain, once called the land of endless grain, was wearing out. Centuries of farming and logging led to soil erosion. Water ran low, rivers dried up. By the Song dynasty, even getting water in Xi'an was a struggle. And just as the land dried out, new enemies rose up, not from the west but from the northeast. The Khitans, the Jurchens, the Mongols, all threats that made northern cities like Beijing way more strategic. So while Xi'an faded, Beijing rose, closer to the danger, easier to defend. That's why the Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties all ruled from the north. So yeah, Xi'an didn't just lose its capital status overnight. Its decline was long, layered, and relentless. It was the environment. It was trade. It was water, war, geography, politics. A 1,000-year cocktail of change that pushed the empire's heart farther and farther away. After that, Xi'an kind of faded from the spotlight. Few people paid attention to it, and it was easy to forget. But here's the thing. It's exactly during those quiet, overlooked years that the pieces slowly came together, shaping the city we see today. Let's rewind the clock to the year 904. The Tang dynasty is on its last legs. Rebellions rage across the realm. Warlords carve up the empire, and the once glorious capital, Chang'an, is staring down its darkest hour. Enter Zhu Wen, the ruthless military strongman who would later found the later Liang. he forces the emperor to abandon Chang'an and relocate the court to Luoyang. And then, he plundered the city. Not just in passing, the palaces, halls, and courtyards of the imperial heart were systematically looted, burned, or dismantled. The political and ceremonial center of the empire collapsed. Chang'an, once the largest, most cosmopolitan city in the world, quickly lost its former glory. At its peak, it had housed over 1 million people. By the end of the Tang, the population had dropped dramatically, likely to a fraction of its former size, and much of the city's grand architecture fell into ruin. Rebuilding, too costly and difficult, slowly, painfully, Chang'an, the jewel of the empire, faded from its central role, leaving behind only memories and the foundations of what had once been a thriving metropolis. Fast forward to the Song dynasty. The former Tang capital is no longer a capital at all, just a town inside a region called Jingzhaofu. There were efforts to restore it, but let's be honest, it was a shadow of its former self. The size of the city, just 1/10 of Tang-era Chang'an. Remember, Tang Chang'an had these 3 huge rings: the outer city, the imperial city, and the palace city, all surrounded by 12 grand gates. By the Song era, the outer city was completely abandoned. They kept only the old imperial core of Tang Chang'an and walled it off with just 5 gates. At the same time, they also built a defensive moat. But the grandeur, long gone. Even the legendary Daming Palace, once home to emperors, was turned into farmland. All that remained was scattered rammed earth foundations slowly crumbling into dust. The past was being buried not by time, but by necessity. The ruins were scavenged. Bricks from palace walls were carted away to build homes, shops, even temples. The emperor's residence became a residential neighborhood, imperial luxury recycled into everyday life. The city's layout changed as well. Gone was the town system of walled wards. The farm, along with the nightly curfews. In Song Xi'an, streets buzzed with free-flowing trade. Shops and homes blended together. Less imperial, more alive, bustling, chaotic, and real. Housing shifted too. Gone were the massive courtyards and towering palaces. Now it was smaller homes, simple woodwork, and low ceilings. Chang'an had shed its royal robes and slipped into something way more practical. Less grandeur, more survival. Song-era Xi'an, or Jingzhaofu, was like a history book with half its pages torn out. Xi'an had suddenly lost the spotlight, but not its soul. Its story wasn't over yet. With its strategic location, the city would soon take on a new role, the key gateway of China's northwest. Let's rewind to the Yuan dynasty, from 1271 to 1368. By then, the city we know as Xi'an was first known as Anxilu early in the Yuan dynasty, and later it became Fengyuanlu. It still followed the basic city layout from the Song and Jing days, but things had changed big time. This wasn't the buzzing cultural capital it once was. Nope, this city had turned into a military fortress all about defense, strategy, and control. In 1272, Kublai Khan gave it a new name, Anxilu, which means pacifying the West. Xi'an was now a key piece in the Mongols' plan to keep the wild northwest in check. They reused old city walls from the Song-era smart move, saved time and money. But when rebellion started flaring up and the Yuan Empire began to crumble, things got tense. The city closed some gates, cutting down to just 4 entrances. The city that once welcomed traders and travelers was now shutting its doors tight. In 1357, the Red Turban Army broke through Tongguan Pass, burning and looting outside the city. By the end of the dynasty, Fengyuan's population had dropped significantly, and the streets grew quiet again. In 1368, Zhu Yuanzhang declared himself emperor in Nanjing, founding the Ming dynasty. The city, then known as Yingtian Prefecture, became the new imperial capital. But as he set out to reunify a fractured land, a deeper question began to trouble him. Where should the heart of a lasting empire truly lie? That same year, the old Fengyuanlu was officially renamed Xi'an Prefecture, marking the first time the name Xi'an entered government records. Zhu Yuanzhang took notice. After all, this was no ordinary city. Chang'an, as it was once known, had served as the capital of both the Han and the Tang, 2 of China's most glorious dynasties. For a ruler obsessed with reviving the ancient order, what better symbol could there be? Geographically, Xi'an had its allure. A central location, commanding access to Sichuan, the Central Plain, and the Northwest, and natural mountain defenses long praised by strategists. Since ancient times, it was hailed as a golden city in a land of abundance. So, in 1391, the emperor dispatched his heir, Crown Prince Zhu Biao, on a mission: inspect the ancient capitals, Chang'an, Luoyang, and see if one was worthy of resurrection. Months later, Zhu Biao returned with detailed maps of Guanzhong and high praise for Xi'an. Zhu Yuanzhang was moved. He declared, "If we make Chang'an our capital, we can grow grain, raise troops, and command the north, south, and west. Would that not ensure the dynasty's eternal strength?" Plans were stirring. A revival of the Tang legacy seemed possible. But fate had other plans. In 1392, just a year later, Zhu Biao died suddenly, the heir was gone. And with him, so too went the dream of a new capital in Xi'an. Grief-stricken, the aging emperor sighed. "I wish to move the capital, but now I'm old. The land still heals from war. I cannot burden the people further." The capital stayed in Nanjing, the move was never made. After Zhu Yuanzhang's death in 1398, it was his fourth son Zhu Di, later the Yongle emperor, who made the bold move. In 1421, Yongle shifted the capital to Beijing, formalizing a dual capital system, Beijing in the north, Nanjing in the south. Xi'an, it was no longer in the conversation. The truth was, by the late 14th century, Xi'an's glory was largely symbolic. Centuries of warfare had taken a toll. Its economy had fallen behind the booming southeast. Infrastructure was outdated, and supply lines from Sichuan or the Central Plain would have been a logistical nightmare if war broke out. By contrast, Nanjing was prosperous, accessible, and far better connected to the financial heartland of Jiangnan. Zhu Yuanzhang, ever the pragmatist beneath his idealism, made peace with reality. Instead of forcing a decision, he left a quiet directive in his will. Let future generations choose their capital not for glory, but for the good of the people and the needs of the time. Even though it never became the capital, back in 1370, Zhu Yuanzhang had sent his second son, Zhu Shang, as the Prince of Qing to rule Xi'an. Starting around 1375, early in the Ming era, the city walls got a major upgrade. They expanded by nearly a third, becoming taller and stronger, lined with 98 watchtowers, gate barbicans, and surrounded by a wide, deep moat. These imposing walls are basically what you see standing today, symbols of strength and defense. Inside the city, everything was carefully planned. 4 massive avenues cutting through the city. The Prince of Qing's mansion stood proud. Confucian temples reflected order and tradition. Military command centers in
This audio is so bad. Why is this so bad?
13 dynasties called it their capital. Over 1100 years as the heart of the nation. More than
Hello. Okay. Let's finish this video.
For someone to speak. Is the largest, most intact, and most magnificent of its kind in all of ancient China. City, Chang'an, as it was once known, had served as the capital of both the Han and the Tang, two of China's most glorious dynasties. For a ruler obsessed with reviving the ancient order, what better symbol could there be? Geographically, Xi'an had its allure, a central location, commanding access to Sichuan, the Central Plain, and the Northwest, and natural mountain defenses long praised by strategists. Since ancient times, it was hailed as a golden city in a land of abundance. So, in 1391, the emperor dispatched his heir, Crown Prince Zhu Biao, on a mission: inspect the ancient capitals, Chang'an, Luoyang, and see if one was worthy of resurrection. Months later, Zhu Biao returned with detailed maps of Guanzhong and high praise for Xi'an. Zhu Yuanzhang was moved. He declared, "If we make Chang'an our capital, we can grow grain, raise troops, and command the north, south, and west. Would that not ensure the dynasty's eternal strength?" Plans were stirring. A revival of the Tang legacy seemed possible. But fate had other plans. In 1392, just a year later, Zhu Biao died suddenly, the heir was gone. And with him, so too went the dream of a new capital in Xi'an. Grief-stricken, the aging emperor sighed. "I wish to move the capital, but now I'm old. The land still heals from war. I cannot burden the people further." The capital stayed in Nanjing. The move was never made. After Zhu Yuanzhang's death in 1398, it was his fourth son Zhu Di, later the Yongle Emperor, who made the bold move. In 1421, Yongle shifted the capital to Beijing, formalizing a dual capital system, Beijing in the north, Nanjing in the south. Xi'an, it was no longer in the conversation. The truth was, by the late 14th century, Xi'an's glory was largely symbolic. Centuries of warfare had taken a toll. Its economy had fallen behind the booming southeast. Infrastructure was outdated, and supply lines from Sichuan or the Central Plain would have been a logistical nightmare if war broke out. By contrast, Nanjing was prosperous, accessible, and far better connected to the financial heartland of Jiangnan. Zhu Yuanzhang, ever the pragmatist beneath his idealism, made peace with reality. Instead of forcing a decision, he left a quiet directive in his will. Let future generations choose their capital not for glory, but for the good of the people and the needs of the time. Even though it never became the capital, back in 1370, Zhu Yuanzhang had sent his second son, Zhu Shang, as the Prince of Qing to rule Xi'an. Starting around 1375, early in the Ming era, the city walls got a major upgrade. They expanded by nearly a third, becoming taller and stronger, lined with 98 watchtowers, gate barbicans, and surrounded by a wide, deep moat. These imposing walls are basically what you see standing today, symbols of strength and defense. Inside the city, everything was carefully planned. 4 massive avenues cutting through the city. The Prince of Qing's mansion stood proud. Confucian temples reflected order and tradition. Military command centers ensured control and security. The Drum Tower went up first, and then the Bell Tower, which was originally on the west side of the city. About 200 years later, the Bell Tower was moved to the center of the crossroads, forming the urban layout we see today. By the late Ming, it had become something new. A fortress, not a cosmopolis. Built not for grandeur, but for survival. Now here's the lucky part. When the Ming dynasty finally fell, history showed a rare moment of mercy. In 1643, rebel leader Li Zicheng stormed into Xi'an. You'd expect the city's ancient landmarks to be lost in the flames of rebellion, but miraculously they survived. Both the Bell Tower and its partner, the Drum Tower, made it through untouched, and they still stand tall today. Its base covers 1,377 square meters. That's even larger than the famous Bell Tower in Beijing. And yes, it's taller too. So here's the crown. Xi'an's Bell Tower is the largest, most intact, and most magnificent of its kind in all of ancient China. But that's not all. The Ming-era city wall, rebuilt and expanded centuries earlier, still wraps around the heart of Xi'an, a full 13.74 kilometers long. That's just 1/9 the size of the Tang Dynasty's ancient walls. But here's the twist. It's one of the biggest and best preserved ancient city walls left in China. Sure, there are others, but none come close to its size and impressive defenses. And today, it's even on UNESCO's tentative list for World Heritage status. When Li Zicheng took the city, he did more than just occupy it. He renamed it Western Capital Xizing and founded a new regime, the Great Shun. For a moment, Xi'an became a capital again, a new beginning, a fresh chapter. But it didn't last. Just 2 years later, Qing forces crushed the rebellion. Li's empire vanished, and with it, Xi'an's brief return to center stage. What was once the heartbeat of dynasties became a footnote in the grand epic of China's history, a flash of glory gone before the ink could dry. When we hit the Qing dynasty, Xi'an didn't really get bigger. No flashy expansions or grand new palaces this time. Instead, the Qing rulers focused on keeping what was already there strong and standing. Think of it as maintenance mode for the ancient city walls, making sure they held up through the years. A lot of what you see standing today dates back to this revival. Inside the walls, things got interesting in a different way. The old Ming-era palace grounds became the Manchu City, a military zone housing elite troops, guarded tight and off-limits to most locals. Meanwhile, not far away, the Hui Muslim community was thriving. Around Huajue Lane, the 7 mosques and 13 neighborhoods blossomed into a lively, spiritual hub for Xi'an's Hui people. The Great Mosque grew bigger and
Jacken Gaming 3 says, I noticed your channel has strong potential, but you need a bigger audience to really level up this season. It's about positioning the streamers who grow now are the ones securing real income and long-term success on Kick. I help streamers gain 3,000 plus real, followers 1,500 live viewers, and active chat engagement, putting you on the fast track to verified and partner interested. Message me on Discord Christopher and 06 or WhatsApp at +2,348,000,000,140,739,712. 140,739,712.
这可是你自己找的。
stronger during Qianlong's reign, becoming a true hub for faith and culture. At the same time, Tibetan Buddhism was flourishing, enjoying strong support from the Qing imperial family. It was in this context that Guangren Temple was built, and it still stands today as the only Gelugpa Yellow Hat Tibetan Buddhist temple in Shanxi province. After the fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912 and the founding of the Republic of China, one thing stayed the same: the name Xi'an, which had been given back in the Ming dynasty, continued to be used. This ancient city remained a key hub in northwest China, carrying forward its incredible legacy built over thousands of years. Fast forward to 1949, when the People's Republic of China made Beijing the new capital. From that point on, Xi'an's role as a national capital became a thing of the past, a chapter sealed in the scrolls of history. But Xi'an losing its capital status was some random twist of fate. It was part of a much bigger shift, from a land-based empire to a more ocean-facing one. China was moving from a closed-off, inland model centered on Guangzhou to an open, coastal, globally oriented identity. This wasn't just politics, it was geography, economics, military strategy, and historical timing all working together. History, after all, tends to follow the needs of the era. So, if there's one thing people often feel a little regretful about when it comes to Xi'an, it's not what the city lost, it's the past that got buried. Because much of Xi'an's most glorious past has vanished underground. From the Neolithic Banpo village, to the western Zhou capitals of Feng and Hao, to the Qing dynasty's Xianyang Palace, to the Grand Han dynasty Chang'an, and then the dazzling Tang era Daming Palace and Xinqing Palace. All of it mostly gone, lost in dust, ruin, or time. Forgotten treasures hidden beneath modern streets. But here's the good news. Xi'an still holds a stunning amount of visible history. The Terracotta Army from the Qing dynasty, the giant Wild Goose Pagoda, small Wild Goose Pagoda, and Tang-era temples. Historic neighborhoods like Beiling, Beiyuanmen, and Sanxuejie that trace their roots back to the Tang dynasty. A treasure trove of Yuan dynasty relics in the Beiling Museum, and then the Ming and Qing legacies. The mighty city wall, the bell tower, the drum tower, and don't forget the street names packed with nostalgia for generations of locals. 洒金桥、探视街、冰窖巷、粉巷. Or the now bustling neighborhoods like Xiaozhai and Luomashi, once just modest market lanes. See, Xi'an isn't just a city, it's a living archive. It's the birthplace of China's four foundational cultural systems: Zhou ritual, Qing legalism, Han Confucian orthodoxy, and Tang cosmopolitanism. So really, Xi'an's greatest challenge isn't about loss of history. It's about making that history visible and telling its stories again. Because history hasn't been silent, it's just been waiting for someone to speak.
Okay, guys. I think we're actually done here. Done everything there is to do for today, I think. Let's go over here. This guy. Beast Venom. Alright, let's go and get some flowers. We're done with the flower gathering. I think we could do other things. One peony, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just what's this? Pum. Oh, what is it doing? Oh no. About this one. This one? It's 80% already. Crazy. I don't think anybody else is gathering anything here. To get flowers here. Alright, there is nothing else for us to do in the game right now. We spent all of our energy. We're gonna work on our partnership in a day or two. We get all of the flowers done. On Jianling. But for now, we'll just gather our flowers here. Let's see. What? Oh, wait. Yeah. Probably nobody's gonna mess with me. Alright. Well, anyway, we're done with the stream. So, yeah, I think we'll wrap up. It's been 2 hours, 43 minutes. We got a lot done, did all of our dailies. So, yeah, we'll be on again tomorrow. I might be on later today. I don't know. I think I probably will, but yeah, we'll be on tomorrow again. All right.